yesterday she's said that if you've installed Java correctly, then you can check using your run, which is if you type run at the bottom of your screen there, then you should be able to type Java dash to be able to find, or you go to your command prompt. So let's do the easier option, which is command prompt. And so if you type Java minus version, then you can see your Java installation. I've got the 14.0.2. I've already got Maven installed, but I'll just show you quickly how to get your Maven installed as well. So to download your Maven, you need to go to either this link, which I'll share in the screen message soon, or this. I prefer this, which is the HTTPS, the :/maven.apache.org/download.cji, because that is directly from Maven. And so if we just quickly go, yeah, so I've opened it up already, and this is it. And we're going to be using the zip file, which is a 3.8.1. This is the bin. I'm going to highlight it again. This one is what you download. So if you click on this download, it will then, once that's downloaded, then you can open your file, then you open it. And then you need to go, to your files, which are your download files here. You can place it where you want on your downloads, but right now, because it's downloaded, you need to unzip it as well. So if you right click, my system is just loading, bear with me. So you can extract your files here. You can extract here. So normally what I'll do is I'll just extract it there so that I can see straight away. I'll just go to the structure, power slide. So this is it. And then once you've extracted it, this is what you will see. Once you've extracted it, it goes to your C# Maven/Apache docs. So this is the link you'll find there. So that's just the slide with regards to how to find where you've got your Maven installed. And then we need to then place the path to where you've got it. So if you go to your computer, if you can't find it, you can just type my computer or my PC. It comes in your search. You can see it there. Just put it side by side with the slide. So your PC Once you expand it, so you right click, you go to properties, which is the same thing you did when you were trying to install your Java. We just need to name it. That's what we're just trying to do for the Maven as well. So then we'll go to the properties, which is what I just showed now. Then you go to advanced system settings, and then you go to your environment variables. You click on new, and then the file paths which you've installed your Maven, and your variable name is m2_home. And I said, note that your variable name should be in caps, and then the variable name should just be where you've installed your Maven. So if we go to where we've got it installed here, so I've got it under C#. Oh yeah, sorry. I need to send you the link. I've not sent the link yet. Okay, I've just sent the link. If you click on that link, that will take you there. And then I'll just take a step back so that everyone can follow the steps. So once you click on the link, I'll highlight this again. You click on this, which is Apache-Maven-3.8.1-bin-zip. Then you need to unzip it. So this is the downloads. Get to your download, then you unzip the file. Once you've unzipped the file, you should go to your Windows. Just go to the slide. So when we unzip it, let's go back here. So I want to extract the files. Then you can decide where you want to put it here. I put my destination path as here, but you can change it if you want to. Here are the list of where you can decide to put it. So you can do that. So once you, from my slide, it's saying you should put it under your C drive. So best to put it under your C drive, put a name, which is this. I'll just go back to the slides quickly. So today my aim is to get our plugins all set up for today, set up our framework so that then we'll be ready to creating our feature files. I'll just go back to my slides quickly. just to show you with regards to the downloads again. So once you click on that, download, let me maximize it a bit. Then you unzip it. It goes to your PC, your local disk. You can set up a folder whereby you have the Maven, and this is the particular one we're using at the moment. So once we've got that, you need to copy your Maven path because we need to set it into our environment variables. And to be able to do that, you need to go to Open My Computer, which is the same thing as this PC. On some people's computer is this PC instead of my computer. Then once you've done that, you then go to Properties, and then you need to go to Advanced System Settings. Then you go to your environment variables. You click New, because now we want to enter the path for Maven. And your environment name should be m2_home. And then you copy your path and you paste it in the environment variables. And you click OK. Okay, someone has just asked a question again with regards to the Maven, so I'm going to repeat it. So I'll go back. Again, once you've downloaded your Maven, you need to set it to a particular path you want it to be in. You can put it anywhere you want to, but I advise so that it's easier, which is probably where you put your Java as well. If you were in the Java class, if you put it into your C drive, it's easier for you to find it and know where your Java, your Maven are all stored. So save the folder into your C drive. You name it as Maven, so it's easy for you to understand where your Maven is. And then this is the operating system or the file that we're using at this time. On the download, which I shared, I'll just go to the Maven file. So as of today, we've got it as 3.8.1. So that's what you should have as of today that we're doing this lecture. The one I have on my slide is 3.6 point something. So that is older than this. So this is the one you need as of today, 3.8.1. You need to unzip it, which means you need to extract it. So with some computers, you see it as unzip. Computers, you see it as extract. On mine, it's showing as extract once I try to do it. The only reason I'm not doing it now is because I already have it on my system. But you see this and you say extract. Extract here, some computers have unzip. So you need to extract it to where you want it to be. So once you've done that, I'll just go back to my slides. Then you need to put your environment variables. So to be able to get into your environment variables, you need to open my computer, which is this PC. Then you need to go, that's the slide is showing you exactly the arrow, this PC, or you can just type at the bottom, this PC. If you can't find it there, because I've always been using it, once you type my computer as well, it's coming up this PC, click on it. Then you right click on your PC. So let me do that while we're on. So this is my PC here. Right click, then you have properties. Once you've done that, if you scroll a bit down, so go back to the slide. Then you click on properties, and then we're looking for advanced system settings. Then you go to environment variables. Then you go to new. And then you start entering the variables. So for Maven, we have M2 in capital letter, underscore home, all in capital letter. And then you enter the path where you've stored your Maven, and you click OK. And then you can see it's right there. It's showing you exactly that it's been installed properly. And then you can also, on the computer, where you've got system variables, you see on your computer, it says paths. If you click on the edit button, which is this one here, after you've highlighted the path, you need to highlight it, which is why it's in blue. Once you've done that, then you need to click new. If your computer is like up to date, then you'll have this. If it's some very old computers, this, once you click edit, at the very end of it is where you copy and paste the parts that you've got. But if it's the newer computers, that's when you have this particular sort of look, whereby you have this, you then click on this new. Then you can enter the text, which is percentage M2 underscore home percentage / bin. So that's what you need to enter on there. Like I said, to some computers, someone has just asked a question. Some computers have this old, so if it's like Windows 7 or 8, I think, then you won't have new. Just at the right at the end, after you click edit, you see your long, all the other parts you've got. At the very end, you paste your parts. So for anybody that, I'm trying to also look at the chat while I'm tutoring Bob, because obviously at the moment we've got an hour, 30 minutes, and we still have quite a long while to go. So what our advice is, once I've done the training, you can look back on the recording. Quite a few people say they are lost. I'm going to start again. From the previous video you watch from my other colleague, her name too is Oyin. She's told you how to download your IntelliJ and how to download your Java. But because we're going to be going into automation and we're going to be using Maven for our automation, I'm just trying to show you how to download your Maven as well, so that we can then go into IntelliJ and set up our framework. That's what I'm trying to do right now. Okay, so I'll start again. I have sent a link with regards to where you can find your download. So the link I have sent, I'll send it again. This is for Maven. I'm not talking about Java today because you have to go back to the previous video to watch that video to download Java. I'll go on it briefly, but I'm not really going to go into it because it's been taught yesterday. As of today, I'm trying to just install Maven, and then we'll go to how to install or set up our framework. So with Maven, this is the link for Maven. If you go to this, I'm going to send it again in the chat. This is the link you need to go and download your Maven, which is this link. I've got it right here. I've just sent it to everyone again. Once you get onto that link, scroll down a bit. So this is what it looks like. When you scroll down, you get to where it says files, and then you get links. You need the second one, which says bin.zip. That's the one you need. Once you click on it, it will download, which is what is happening right now. But it's a zip file. So when you click on that, you click open. You click open again. And then it goes into your files, which will be under your download because you've got it downloaded. You need to unzip it. For you to unzip it, you right click. Or with some people's computer, right at the top, it says extract, which might has. Some people might not have that on their computer. So if you right click on it, you see extract files. Extract files, extract here, extract to. But I think it's because I already have Maven installed. That's why I've got it as extract to this particular bin here. If you haven't, you can just click on extract here, which would extract it right onto your downloads, or you can extract files. Once you do that, it would open up. You can see the parts that I've got it here. My part is showing this C, which is what I was saying when I go back into my slides. My slides shows you, I'll just go back here. Okay, so that's the download. Then this is where it's extracted it to, even in the slide, but we're not using 3.6.3 because that's an old version. The new version we have now is 3.8.1. So that's what you're going to be extracting. And then it goes to your local disk, which is your C drive. Once we do that, we're then going to have to put it into our environment variables. For us to be able to do that, you need to click on this PC. Some people will say my computer on theirs. Once you right click on my PC, it would open up this expand to your properties. Then you click on properties, which is this arrow showing you here. Once you've done that, it opens up and it takes you to advanced system settings. You click on advanced system settings, then you click on environment variables. Once you click on the environment variables, then it will open up this window. You need to click new because we are adding M2, which is Maven. It's already here, that's why it's showing here. But if you don't have it, you need to click new. Once you click new on that, then we're going to be entering the information we need. So once it's new system variables, they should be in caps. Then you have it as M2_home. And then where you have pasted your Maven, that will be in your C drive. You then paste that link here, which is your path. Then you click OK. Once you've done that, it would appear, which is why this is highlighted for you. It's showing that you've entered it correctly and is appearing there. Like I've said before, once you have Java as well, Java is just right on top of M2. So we need Java, we need M2, which is Maven as well on there. Java, you should have installed it from yesterday. If you haven't, go and watch the video and install it. Then you install your Maven as well. Once you've done that, then we need to go to installing it in our path. For you to install it into your path, so your path, then you click on edit. Once you click on edit, like I said, in some old people's computer, I think is Windows 8 and below Windows 10, you just have this long path. Once you click on edit, you just be able to add it at the very end of all your files, which is showing as the values at the very end of it. If it's Windows 10 upwards, then you will have new. You click on new and you can add a new one underneath the existing files you've got. Then what you need to add to it is this percentage M2 underscore home, percentage backslash / bin. Then you click OK. Then you close your windows. For you to verify that you've done it correctly, just as you search for your Java as well, that's the same thing you do here. So let's put it side by side at this point in time. So for your Maven, you type MVN space minus version, click enter. Then as you can see, it says Apache Maven 3.6.1. I still have the old version. So that's why that is there. But because you guys are doing it as of today, you should have the 3.8. That's what you should have installed on yours. And as you can see as well, I've got Java installed here. And it showed me the path location that I have installed it into, which is what I was just telling you to do right now. So all of that information would appear on it. So that's us with installing Maven so that we can use it for our IntelliJ to be able to do our automation. So now, if you open up your IntelliJ, which my colleague as of yesterday told you to do, and I said I was going to run briefly over the Java as well. So with Java, Onya has already told you how to install it and check if you've got it. It's almost the same process. It's just the web addresses are different. But how you install it and how you set it into your variables is the same thing with the Maven. So now, what I'm going to then do is I'm going to go into IntelliJ, and then we can start setting up our framework. Okay, so this is IntelliJ. To set up a new file or a new project, you click on File, you click New, and then you click Project. And this is what I was talking about earlier, which is what I wanted us to deal with. With different companies, they deal with different sort of installation or plugins. We are going to be using Maven. In some other companies, they might want to use Groovy or Kotlin, but a lot of companies tend to use Maven for their installation with Java processing or with your framework. So that's what we're going to be focusing on as of today. I'll just go back onto the slide before I start actually working on it. So this is the first stage I've just showed you, which is the Maven. You click on New. And New Project. So it will be, I'll just do it again. So it will be File, New, and then click on Project. Once you click on Project, this particular page would appear. Your Maven is already highlighted for you. Then another thing we need to be very conscious of is regarding the version of the Java which you have installed. If your Java, to verify what version you've installed, you can click on New, which is right at the side, and then you'll be able to see the different versions of Java you've got. If you don't see this drop down, that basically means that this is what you have, but you'll be able to see Java. You click on this arrow and you'll be able to see the Java version you've got. As you can see, I've got the version 12 and I've got the version 14, but I want to be up to date. So I'm using the Java 14, which you look on here, you'll see that I highlighted for the Java 14 on there. So the next thing to then do, so what I'll try to do now is, let me do side by side so that I'm working on the project. We'll be seeing the slides as well. So I've said, where it says create from active type, you do not click on that. You don't tick it. You leave it empty because it's not something that we'll be using right now. And then the next thing you're going to do is you click. So this I've already explained to you with regards to checking the version of Java so that you can get that properly installed on there. So you click next. And then now we're going to be entering the group ID and the Actified ID. So we're going to be using Blue Sky for our website. And if you notice on my slide, you see that the com comes before. On the website, it will be www.bluesky.com. But when you're entering your group ID, your com comes first, dot, the website you want to use. So that's what we'll be entering in our group ID. And your artifacts, some people, they'll probably say that that is their project name, project title. So it will be your Actified ID as well. So what I have, okay, I'm going to check some comments as well. Let's see what we got. Okay. So what we're going to be doing with our Actified ID, I'm saying it's training Blue Sky. You can name it whatever you want to, or you can name it, you're going to be doing by means for your lines. So we could do this as well. So I test. So different from what we got on the slides. and you click next. And like I said before, project name is showing that. To change it if you want to, or as much as possible not to change a lot of things, because once you're changing it, then you have to be very aware of it, because then you need to rename it somewhere else. And then you click finish. So I'm going to rename it because I already got my previous, let me just put one in front of it, basically. I've got another project which I've used as UI test already. So I'm going to open a brand new window. So I shall have the new window here. So this is what it should look like once you've set up your new project. So it automatically sets up what is called a POM. A POM is very, very important when you're setting up your framework. That's where a lot of what we tend to use. I'm going to explain that soon. Before I start explaining that, with POMs, we have the Maven, which is what we were trying to install before. Let me just quickly go to my web link so that I can then show you what I'm trying to say, so we can all have an understanding of it. Okay, so I'm going to explain this before I put it into our framework. So we have what we call Cucumber. Cucumber is what we use for Java, and we have a version for it as well. Then we have the Cucumber test ng. Your test ng is for your reporting. And because we're reporting, because we're using Cucumber version, that's why we've got this as you activate as well as Cucumber test ng. And you can see that you've also got a version here. You need to be very careful that your versions as well, they are interlinked and they work together. Because if you use different versions, for instance, we might be using 3 point something here, it might not work with 1.0 version because they are way off. So you're going to need to find a version that is compatible with this Cucumber JVM as well as Cucumber test-ng, which is why for Blue Sky, what we've done is we've set up a POM that we know works, that is easier for beginners to use. So that's why we've got all this. But some people would go onto the website and check for it themselves. Like, for example, you can see here, I've done a search, which I've said Maven repository, and then I'll click on instance. You can see we have a lot of different versions here, 3.8, 3.6, and all that. And even 3.8, 3.6, lot of versions as well. So, and because we're going to be using quite a lot of different dependencies, you then have to search for different versions that will be compatible. And with this framework as well, we'll be using JUnit. So if you're interested in or as you, once you're for instance, Cucumber team might not have an understanding, thinking, oh, what's all these things? They're all just dependencies that are needed when you're setting up your framework for Java. That's what they're for. So then this is your Maven resource. not. And I'm going to send this link as well to the chats. So I'll copy this plugin here. I'll go into my framework in my IntelliJ. So what you would notice is, I need to change some things here. But the first thing you'll notice is you see this green tick, which shows me that there's no error on there. If there's an error, so this is not working. That's basically what it means. And then you notice that my UI Actifed is showing as UI tests. And for my project, I've got to go to my project because it was telling me the link for the form into the chat box. And I'll just go quickly back into IntelliJ. With IntelliJ, when I copied in the form, you have to double check your project name. A lot of the time, the artifact name, and when you go, okay, let's start again actually, so that we're not confused because we're really new. If not, a lot of things, when I started new as well, I got really confused with little things. So I'll just start again. When you click on file, you click new and you click on project. Our Maven is already highlighted. So we're using a Maven project. And then we've downloaded our Java. Our Java version, if you click on new, it will show you where you've installed your Java. I've got both Java version 12 and Java version 14. I'm going to be using the latest version I've got, which is the 14.0.2, and then you click OK. So because you've installed Java yesterday with Owen, my colleague, you should click on the latest version that you've got. And once you've done that, then you click on next. Your group ID would normally be the website address you're trying to use. So we're going to be using bluesky.com. That's what we're going to be using. But when you're writing it as your group ID, the com comes first, dot Blue Sky Citadel. And then the actified ID most of the time, it could be your project name. I try and leave it as what my project name is to make it easier for me to have an understanding. So today, because now I've noticed that I've used UI test before, so I'm not going to use UI test. So let's say I use Blue Sky Citadel. So I'll use Blue Sky Citadel. Training, because we're training at the moment. So that's what I'm going to call my actified ID. I click next, And like I said, this is your project name. You can see straight away that what I wrote on my Actified ID is the same thing showing as my project name. Then you need to check where you want your project location to be. Mine has automatically put it under my C# user, Josephina, the idea project, and the project name as well. If you don't want it to be in that location, you just need to click on this icon, and then you can change it to wherever you want it to be. And then you click OK at the bottom. I'm just going to leave it where I've got it now. And then you click Finish. Once you click Finish, you click OK. So it's saying the directory does not exist. So I want it to exist. So I click OK. Then I want a new window. So this is my brand new window. And if you notice at the bottom, I already have this Maven project needs to be imported. I'm not going to do anything yet with this until I've sorted out my POMs and quite a few of my setup before I then import the changes. So this is what we call a POM. A POM is where we have a lot of what we need. Then I'll go quickly into that web address that I sent earlier, which is this web address. I'll just go through what we need. They call it dependencies at work or with automation. All these are called dependencies. So with our dependencies, because we're using Java, Java uses Cucumber. So when you see anywhere where they're talking of Cucumber, straight away, you know that is Java that they're talking about. So we have our Actified for the Java Cucumber. Very important. It won't work if you don't have that. Then we have the Cucumber. We have the Cucumber JVM. We have the version as well for that. We have our Cucumber test-ng. A lot of time, if you're already looking into automation, you notice that when they're writing or looking for a job, when they're writing it, they will not put Cucumber test-ng. They only put test-ng separately. They'll put Cucumber separately. They'll put JVM separately. But if you're already in the line of work, you understand that all those things are the same thing. It's only if you're not in the line of work, you're confused, like what's JVM, what's test-ng, and all that, but they are all linked, interlinked, and they're the same thing that they're asking you for. Then we have the JUnit. JUnit normally will be, well, we call it like, when you're using like one of the dependencies as well. I'll go deeper into it. I'm not going to get you guys confused from the beginning, so I'll just go deeper into it as I go along. And we've got our Maven. You can see your Maven plugins, which is what we were trying to sort out our Mavens at the beginning. And the test-ng is for your reporting. So your reporting is when you've done any automation and they want to see what has happened, where it failed, if it passed. So this is what gives them the reports of what you're doing. That's what they call test-ng. And so what I'll then do at this point in time is I'm going to copy this and then I'm going to put it into my POM. So I'm going to go to line 11. I've got line 1 to 12. I'll go to line 11 and paste what I've just copied. If everything is copied correctly, on your right-hand side, it might be some people's left-hand side, you have this green tick at the top, which means that everything is fine. But you need to be very careful because as of the time as the training school that we are at, we were using the project name as test UI test 3. I'm not using that today. What I'm using is Blue Sky Citadel training. So I'm going to change this to Blue Sky Citadel training. So that's what I'm going to change that to. Okay, someone has just asked the question that how do you create your POM? With your POM, you have to be really careful. You can actually search for it yourself, but you need to know the versions you actually want, because you've got a lot of dependencies and plugins. For example, I'll highlight as I go along. You've got your Cucumber Java with the version. So if you were going to look for it yourself, what you need to do is you go on the website, which is Google. You can type Cucumber JVM plug. So as you can see, this will show you the Maven for Cucumber JVM. And then you've got a lot of versions. And you need all these versions to be the same thing, or that it works with a lot of the other dependencies you've got. As a new starter, you need to make sure that the first dependency for Cucumber Java has to work with this second dependency that you've got of Cucumber JVM depths. And they don't list them in one place. You have to search for it differently, which is why we as a training, we have put everything inclined to you in one place, so that as a starter, you can use this and you're ready to go at work, instead of you trying to make sure that it works. Because if you miss any of it, or if the versions are incorrect, then you will not be able to continue working. You have to sort it out first before you can do anything else. So once we've got our POM set up, let's just go back to the slides. We need to also make sure that we've got Cucumber is self-installed. I'll just get into that. So you need to make sure that Cucumber plugin for Java is installed on your computer, because we're using Cucumber for Java. So you go to your files. Only showed you another, my colleague showed you, so that we're not mixing the names up. My colleague showed you another way to do it, but I think she was using Mac laptop. With Windows laptop, you go to your file, you go to your settings, and then you click on your plugin. In your plugin, at the top, you search for Cucumber. Because I already have it, it's showing as a tick. But if you don't have it, you have it as install. You click on it and you install it. Once it's installed, you have to switch off your laptop, it resets, so that it can then work with your IntelliJ. So your laptop has to be reset for that to work. So once you then open back your IntelliJ, you then go back to your project. That's all you need to do with that. So you go back to, you see your project on there, and then you just go, you click on it, and you'll be able to start working on your project. Or when we were setting up the project initially, it gave us where we can install the project. So you can just go into your files, and then you open your project from there. So which would be from here. So I had it, I think it was download, if I'm not mistaken. So where you've installed it, so you go in there. So I'm just trying to navigate to where I installed mine, then idea projects, and then I've used Blue Sky Training. So that's where I've installed mine. So that's how you can open up your projects. So let's just go back. So we've installed for the POM. Now let's go back to our slides. So we've talked about how you can install your Cucumber for plugins as well. And that's what it would look like if you're installing it for the first time, as opposed to what I already have on mine, because I've already pre-installed mine. And then we're adding our dependencies. We've already added for the POM, which is the link I sent in the chat. Okay, someone has just asked a question, is Cucumber for Java not part of the dependencies copied in the POMs? No, not for this particular installation. Before you get to the POM, you have to install your Cucumber. You have to install your Cucumber plugin for Java before you even get to your POMs at all. So then I send the link for the POM, which is what we have there. And then, so the other thing I'm going to do now is I talked about TestNG. So what I would like us to do as well is to get anything that we're going to need to have the dependencies. I want us to get those installed before we now start adding our files. So I'm going to go back to IntelliJ. And then we're going to add our TestNG, which is for the reporting. We're going to add it. And for you to be able to add the folder, you need to go to your project name. And our project name at this point in time is Blue Sky Citadel Training. You right-click on it, you click New, and you click File. Then you enter the file name, which is testng.xml, and you click OK. So at this point in time, you see that we have on your right-hand side, you see that this is showing a red, which means that what is needed hasn't been added as of yet. So for us to have that, okay, just before we get into that, there's another question here that says, is it possible to search Maven plugin as we did with Cucumber? And the answer is yes. You can search for Maven plugin as well, like we did for the Cucumber. And like I said, you need to make sure that the versions are correct. So whichever version you're using for Cucumber, you have to be sure that it also works for your Maven. But yes, you can search for all the plugins, you can search for it, basically, and get the correct version. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the website, and I'm going to share another link, which is for the TestNG setup. Okay, so this is for the test ng. So we need this, the file structure as well for this. So I'm going to share this. So I've sent that, I've shared that with everyone. So I'm going to copy this and take into the IntelliJ setup. And I'm going to paste that there. As you can see, this is shouting for me because I haven't got what is called a test runner. And if I highlight on it, if I just put my cursor on it, it's telling me cannot resolve class test runner. I need to create class test runner, which is what I'm going to do next now. And then that will sort it out, but we'll go into it soon. So for us to set up this test runner, that's what I'm going to do now. So you click on SRC and you click on test, then you can see Java here. You right click on Java, you click new, and you click on Java class. And now I'm going to, okay, let me go back. I don't want, you can see this particular name I've got here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this name because it has to be exactly the same name. If you don't want it to be exactly the same name, you have to change it. Let's say, for instance, I change this to lowercase t. That has to be the exact name I'm going to be using when I'm setting up the test runner. But because I want to use this structure, I'm just going to take it back to what I had before. So all I'm just going to do is copy this name. Then I go back to right clicking on Java, new, Java class, and then I'm going to paste the name of what I've got. Some people might not have this coming up. If you do have it coming up, just double click on the class. If you don't have it, just click OK and you'll be fine. So that's how I set up my test runner for me. If we go back to our test ng setup now, you see that it's not throwing any error anymore. I'm still going to import these changes, but everything is fine as it is right now. Another thing I'll do as well here, you see where it says the test name? I'll probably update this soon, but I'm not going to confuse you yet. I'll come back to it, but let's sort out the test runner right now. So I go into the test runner, so I'm going to share another link because we need to get the setup done. So I'm going to copy this as well. Now, before I copy that, let me send that to you in the chat box. So I've sent that as well in the chat box. Then I'll go and copy this myself and take it into IntelliJ. Okay. So as you can see, I've got a lot of things here. So what I try to do is Just to again, I'm not sure why that was screaming. Let's do it. Okay, what do we exist? Okay. So let's go. Yeah. I'm just trying to. Okay. Okay, as you can see, I've still got an error message. So I'm just trying to get an understanding of why I've got this error message here. So bear with me quickly. See what's happening. Okay, so that's sorted now. Okay, so I've sent the setup for the pumps, the test ng, and for the test runner. Then what we need to then do, before I get into that, let me quickly explain to you with regards to the test runner, what we've got done there. So we have what they call annotations. So if you look here, these are annotations. And annotations, we have the after class, we have got the before class. These are quite important. Actually, with setup with Java, a lot of things are quite important. So with these Cucumber options, we have what we call the features. With the feature, this is a structure. I like that for you. And as you can see, it says features here. Your features are where you write your given when then, of which is basically how you write your Getkins or your Getkins statements when you're trying to write how you navigate, for instance, how you get into registering or how you get into logging in. I'll get into how that actually looks like, but just to quickly explain with regard to the test runner, is the structure of how you set up. So this is telling us that for you to set up your features, it starts from SRC, which is this, to your test, which is this. I'm highlighting it on your left-hand side so that you can understand what we're trying to do. Then I'm going to set this up now, the resources, so that we can then set up our features. So I'll quickly do that now. So this has told us that we'll go from SRC to our tests. So for us to get to features, we need to set up what is called resources. That's basically what that is saying. And for us to set up our resources, it says we should go from tests, you right click, you go to new, and then you click on directory. The directory, this has already showed us here in your features that the name is resources. So you write exactly that name in there so that it is in link. If it's not in link, or if you have, for instance, made this a capital letter, you need to go back to these features and change the R to a capital letter. The caps are very important, as the no caps are very important when you're setting up your automation. If for any reason they are not in link due to the way you've written the spellings, for instance, it would not work and you wouldn't really understand why it didn't work. So you have to be really attentive of what you write and how you write it when you're writing automation. So I've changed that back to lowercase because that's what I've got on my feature, my resources here, and then I click OK. So right underneath the Java, you see that we then have resources set up. Now, another thing, let me go to my slide so that I can show you as well what I've got there, which is this particular information. So you have new directory and you call it resources. Now we need to make our resources, we need to mark it as a test resources root. And to be able to do that, you right click on the resources, you scroll to almost the bottom, you see where it says mark directory as, and then you have this test resources root. You then click on it. You can see that a symbol has changed here. That means that it has marked this as a resource root. If you do not mark it, if you do not tick that, it would not work. It would not link in. So you have to be really careful, making sure that you follow all the steps. Then the next thing features has then told us to do is we need to create our features. So to do that, it's saying that we need to go from resources to link it to your features. So what you then need to do is right click on resources, new, directory, and then you name it as features. And then you click OK. So that has come directly underneath resources. If you close this up, that shows you that it's inside resources. If for whatever reason, it doesn't link in, like it has another file, like how you can see Java and resources, all you need to do is you can move it into it and it will move in. You can see that it's showing one item. If it's not in there, once you move it in, it will link in. And that is something else that happens from time to time. So just move it into the particular one you want it, which is resources that we want it, and leave it in there and it will link into resources. So we've sorted out features. Now it's telling us that we have a glue. This is glue. We all know what glue is. Glue means if it doesn't stick together, then it's not going to work. And for that to stick together, because your features, once you finish writing your features, we need a glue so that it works. So that whatever you've written from your UI, which is your web app, will be able to work with the features that you've just written. So that's basically what this is telling us. And we have a particular name here. It says step defs. And like I mentioned before, for any reason, if you change the spellings here, you need to make sure that the spellings on your left-hand side is the same. It has to tally. It has to be the same spelling. If, for instance, now I change this, instead of having step def, I change it to step definitions. When I create a file for it, this is the name I'll have it as. So the reason I'm saying this as well is you might get into a company whereby they have already set it all up. Make sure that you look for all of this so that you know exactly what you're trying to do. You know where everything is linked in together. So you might not be the person setting up their framework. If you're lucky enough, you might be, but we never can say when you get into your first place of work. But these are things that you need to look out for. And then we have our reporting. These are standards. So you can see it says report, report, report. Because we've already got our test engine set up, these are just linking into your test engine for them to be able to see your reports when you're working on your project. That's all this is for. Then our test runner is already linked in on there. So these are just standard, to be honest. The rest are standard. The ones that are most important are the ones I've just told you. If those ones are not there, or if they're not written in the correct fashion or manner, then you would have issues with your framework. So now I'm then going to set up the glue, which is our step defs. For you to be able to set up your step defs, you need to go click on Java. You right click. You go to new and you click on package. And I'm going to write the same name I've got in my glue. I'm going to put it as step defs. And then I'll click OK. So now we have got our Mavens. Now we're going to import. You know, I told you at the bottom, it kept saying import, 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 and I didn't do that. So you could do it straight away. If not, you can do it on here. So your Maven is written right at the end of your right-hand side. Once you click on there, it will open up this page. This page is really quite important. This is where you tend to sort of run when you're working on your automation. And this will show you if there's an error, like if you clean it, you have to validate, you test, you run. Those will show you if there's an error. So right now, I want to import. So I click on re-import. And right at the bottom, it shows you at the bottom that everything is fine. It's showing sync at this time, 21:32. Okay. So, the time. So I would also like to clean. Okay, it shows that there's a build success, but at the same time, I've got this here. So I want to understand what the error message is. It might not be anything really, but I just like to make sure that everything is okay. So if you read this, I'll highlight it here. It says the dependency version for JUnit, JAR, is either latest or release. Both of them are now depreciated, which means, so this version, I'll go into it, it should be in our POM. And it's talking about the JUnit. It's not like if it wouldn't still work, it would, but after some time, it would stop working, which means that you need to update it. So I'll just look for JUnit. I think it's at the bottom, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So already it's telling me release here. Let me just go into the web address we had. I'm sure that we had a version for it. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. I'm having, okay, so there is, I've got like a duplicate here at the moment. So I've got this duplicate here, which I don't have in the link I sent. I should only have two here. So let me copy this again. So let's see what changes. So what's happening there? Mm-hmm. I'm coming. I'm just trying to resolve this error. I've noticed where the error is coming from. I just need to get it resolved quickly. And I'll explain what it was. So there are two different things here. Let me click on this. So this build control. this one now. Oh, this is the setup we're doing today. I know this is going to take a while. Once these setups are done correctly, then we can go into the UI. So that's why I'm trying to make sure that this is done correctly, and then we can go. So by next week, we'll just start setting up our features and step definitions. So that's the POM. See. Oh, yeah. I know where the issues are coming from now. I'll just show you a sample. So basically, I've copied these properties here, and that's what I've pasted in. But obviously, when I noticed that I had a duplicate, what I did was I deleted everything, and I deleted this at the top as well, which is why I'm then having the issues why it keeps shouting the red, which is this red. So I basically need my setup for the POM to be there. But the thing is, I'm not using gift rich here. I'm using blue sky. So that's why I said it's best to stick with what you know. If you don't really know it, then just start a new page and delete the old one off. I'm able to see this now because I've been in it for quite a while. But as a new starter, that'll be an issue that you'll be looking for, and you won't even know where the issue is. Because why? You've mistakenly deleted something that you shouldn't have deleted, which is what I did initially as well. I deleted it without me knowing that I've deleted it. So at the bottom, not that, I still have, so I'm just double checking it. I know there's still something at the bottom, but I want to make sure. I think I need to change the project name as well. Yeah, I need to change this project name. I need to change it to blue sky. have this issue at the bottom. So let's see what's happening there. So there should have been projects right at the bottom of it, which are all the things I deleted. Now you can see that I have the green tick. I'll click on at the bottom import changes as well. Then I'm going to clean. So basically, as you can see, sometimes you'll be asked questions of when you're setting up your framework, what are the issues you could encounter? And what I've just done now are issues you can encounter when you're setting up your framework. Anything that is mistakenly deleted, if the names are incorrect, if you have omitted something, like I omitted this project here, and you can see this kept screaming. I kept getting this red just because that project wasn't there. Once it's in there, you have the tick. And if you notice, when I didn't get the right project name, it kept telling me that this was unknown as well. So that's another issue you encounter. So we're looking into questions right now. Basically, while a training is going on, I do not expect that the students are able to quickly catch up on it, basically because you're new on it. This lecture is going to be available for you to go and watch it back to be able to follow it. You would also have support once you get into the internship, which is why I tried as much as possible to repeat the setup when we began as well, which is why I'm trying as well to slow down in the way I'm tutoring. But I can understand if you're learning it for the first time, it is hard to catch up. You need to create time to go back to watch the video, then follow the step by step. I do not expect that any student right now will be able to tell me straight away that they were able to get this straight away. It's almost impossible to be able to do that. So I can understand if you say that you're struggling or you aren't able to catch up. I can go through the slide once again, but I'm not going to be doing any setup because it's almost 10 o'clock. So once I go through the slide, I'll try as much as possible again to show you. I've sent the links already, so you can copy the links down. You can watch the videos. The links are also on there so that you can then follow it. This is just the basic setup of your framework. I have not even started with you trying to write your feature plans or anything like that. I haven't done any of that. The setting up of the framework with Java is quite something that it's quite something that might take a while, which is also why we made it very easy, whereby we send those links to you. Because if you're going to be trying to how to set up your test10G, which means that you have to go onto Google to find the setup of this. As a new starter, it is not easy. So we've made it quite easier for you to be able to just copy those setup so that you can then use it. Imagine if you have to look for these dependencies, all these dependencies yourself, to know which versions you need to use. As a new starter, it's almost impossible for you to be able to do that. We have made it easy. We've just sent you the link, copy that link and paste it. That's all we've done. So we've got the POM, we've got the test ng, and we've got the test runner. And what I've also done is, instead of setting up the feature plans and everything initially, I have set up the POM, the test ng, and test runner so that you can follow it. I've showed you the links that you need to follow, the names that you need to follow, so that it's easier for you to go with it. So I'll quickly go through the slides again. If you're going to be learning automation, I'm going to be answering one of the other questions here. For a new starter, the informations are a lot, but you have to be determined. You just have to be really determined if this is what you want to go for, and create time yourself. So which means that in a day, the minimum that you would have to be on your computer to learn should be minimum of 3 hours a day if you really, really want to be an automation tester. And don't forget as well that my colleague as of yesterday, she's also teaching you the basics. You need to know those basics. So you have a lot to learn. If we're going to be honest with you, you really have a lot to learn, because at the moment with automation and software testing, it's not as easy as it used to be way back in the days. They have made it, the interview process especially, quite difficult. So you have to really push if you really want it. And we're trying as much as possible to even make it easier for you to be able to set it up, not having to look for it yourself, so that you can try and catch up on time. So let me quickly go through the slides. So I'll start from, if you want to set up your IntelliJ and your Java, you need to look at the previous video of yesterday. My colleague has already showed you a slide and she has talked you through how to be able to install IntelliJ and Java. So I'm just going to be going through how to install Maven. So this is really going to be fast. So with Maven, I've sent you a link. I've sent this link to you. Once you get into that link, you see the zip file, the binary zip. You need to download it and unzip it. So once you've downloaded and unzipped it, you go to your computer or this PC, because you want to add it to your environment variables. So once you've added it to your environment variables, then you save it. So I'm just going through that slide of the step-by-step how to do that. I'm not going to repeat it all over again. So to check that you've saved it correctly and is installed in your computer, you need to open your CMD, which is your command prompt. You type in mvn space -version, then you'll be able to see that it is installed. If it's installed correctly, you see your Maven, you even see your Java, if it's installed correctly on there, and the paths. which you have put the name as, which is the Maven OMC. So now with IntelliJ, like I said, I'm not going to talk about it. My colleague has spoke to you about where to go and install IntelliJ. So you install your IntelliJ. Now to create a new project, that is how your screen will look like. Look at the previous video for Java. She spoke about that as well. Now, because we're dealing with Maven, when you create on your new project, you see Maven here. Do not click on this create from Activate. Leave it as it is. You need to be interested in the Java version you've got. So you see your project SDK. If your Java version is not what you should have, or just to double check that it is the correct one you've got, you click on new. Once you've clicked on new, you see your Java versions. You click on the versions you want to use. Then that would highlight back on this page, which will show your Java version. So once you've done that, that will then take you to setting up your Maven project. You have your group ID and you have your Actified ID. Your group ID is also your project name. As you can see, I've also said also named for Maven. So that's your Actified ID. And for you to enter your group ID, it would normally be the website you're trying to work on, which is the project you're going to be working on. whatever project it is. With us, because you're with Blue Sky, we're going to be using the Blue Sky web address, which is your Blue Sky website. So that's why we've got Blue Sky Citadel. Then you name your project name. I've named it here as an example, UI test, but I couldn't do that on my IntelliJ because I've used it before. So I've renamed that as Blue Sky Citadel Training. I'll just change it here, to be honest. So, and then you click next. Once you click next, it takes you to your new project. Your new project name would automatically show as your Actified name. So that's what that will show here. And then you have your project location as well. You can change that if you want to. If you want to, you click on this tab here, and you can change it to where you want it to be saved. Then you click on finish. Once you've done that, then to install your Cucumber plugin for Java, you click on your file, you click on setting, you click on plugin, you can search here for Cucumber for Java. That would show that you can install it. I'll close this because mine is already installed. I'll go back to the slide. This is what it should look like because you're new, so you can't have it installed on yours. You click on install and you need to restart your IntelliJ. Once it has completely installed, you restart IntelliJ and then you will now start adding our plugins. I've sent this link for the POM. The POM is the first thing that automatically sets up once you start to add your dependencies, which are still your plugins. So I've sent the link for the POM, and I've sent the link for TestNG, and I've sent the link for Test Runner. And I've also made you aware that with the POM, because with the link we've sent to you, obviously we've used a different name. If you don't want it whereby you get anything like the red line that I got as well, but it's always also good whereby you get some errors and you can resolve it, so that when they're asking you questions, you can actually say things that you encountered while you were working on it. So, but when you're scrolling through ours, our project name is different. Here for the web link we've sent to you, we've used UI test 3 here. This should be removed because I've used Blue Sky Citadel training. So this, you need to replace the name on there. And I also mentioned that when you're going to be adding the plugins in there, because it's already set up, you need to put it to your line 11. So it will just be on your line 11 there, and then paste in what you've copied. And so for today, I'll just double check. Okay, yes, so once you've added all the plugins, you need to then start working on this setup. I'll go back to IntelliJ, which is the test runner. So this is how you then set up for your features. So you use this as your base to know how to set it up. You see SRC, which is here. Once you click on this arrow here, the drop down, you have main and you have test. You are going to be a tester, so you're going to be using test. The main is for developers. You have no business with that, so you are on test. Once you're on test, we need to add these resources. We cannot start adding our Gherkins, which is our features, until we add resources. So to be able to do that, you're on test. All you need to do is click new, and then you click directory to be able to add your resources. And once you add your resources, you need to mark it as a test route. Once you click on that, right towards the bottom, you have mark directory as. Then you can see here it's showing as mark as test routes. That's because I already marked it as test resources route. So you would have mark as test resource. So you mark that, you click on it. That's how to mark it. You just click on it. And then that would give you this symbol here. Once that has been done, then you then need to add your features. So that is linking from resources here. You click on that, and that will be new directory again. And then you add your features. I'm not going to add it again because I already have it linked. And I'm giving you an example as well. If it's not linked, all you just need to do is click into it and move it. For example, if I didn't want to have this linked into resources in what I'm talking about moving, if I click this and move into Java, it will move into Java. You can see it's already screaming that that's not where it should be here. So I'm just using that as an example. But if it's linking into resources, it will link into it. You click OK, that would link you straight into it. But that's not what we want. We want it to be resources, then features, because that's what our features are telling us. Here it's showing me that it will be SRC test, then Java. That's not what I want. So I'm going to cancel that. So that's that for the features. Then, because we're going to be linking basically means that when we start writing our elements, which is finding it from our UI, which is our web page, the step definitions is what will link the features so that that can work correctly as it should. And that is what is called a glue. So we now need to set up our step definition. And how do we do that? We go to our Java, we click on there, we click new, and then we click package, and then rewrite the name. And like I said before, if you want to change your glue name, make sure that once you've entered step definition here, if this is what I'm going to be calling it, then I need to change this same name here. I need to change it here. Make sure that this is step definition as well. But I'm not going to be doing that. You can see that I've got a red line as well because I've got two different step definitions. So I'm just going to delete that. I'm just using that as an example. So that is that for today, so that you can have time to try and set up your system before next week. I'm not going to go further than this. So by next week, I'm expecting that everyone has got their framework set up. If you haven't, we have Telegram. Paste whatever error you're getting, and we'll be able to help you with it. So far today is a lot of information to take in, so I'm not going to go further. So that's going to be it for today. Come next week, Saturday, we'll be able to continue. So like I said, anybody has any issues, paste it on Telegram with a screenshot of the issues you've got, and we'll be able to help you resolve it. Okay? Thanks for today, and have a blessed evening. Thank you. Bye. Good night.